Fantasy Football Week 4 Waiver Wire targets. The Fantasy Football Waiver Wire segment that I'm going to put out goes through every position. Click the timestamps below if you want to see something specific. I'm going to go through my favorite pickup of the week, good pickups for the long term, and then my weekly stream play or my daily fantasy gem at each position. Let's dig in at quarterback. My favorite play, whether it's this week or long term, is Jameis Winston. Look, I'm not a big Jameis Winston fan or haven't been historically, but he is playing the best football of his career. I will say this, though, okay? Playing Jameis Winston in your fantasy roster is taking your life in your hands. It's like driving in reverse on the highway at 150 miles an hour. You might get there fast, you might have some fun, or you might die. Okay, but that's Jameis Winston in a nutshell in his career. But like I said, he is playing the best football of his career. Some longer-term, season-long waiver wire pickups I like this week. Mac Jones, you got Justin Fields. Yeah, I know Justin Fields looked bad last week, but he looked okay in preseason. I think he'll be fine. They have decent personnel in Chicago. I think he'll be okay. Kirk Cousins and Derek Carr, who are generally underrated but perform very well over the course of a season, and they're available. I mean, Kirk Cousins is a top 5 quarterback, at least in 6-point passing touchdown formats. Something about Kirk Cousins. I used to root for him when I used to root for Washington back in the day. And Vikings fans, tell me if you see this. There's something I really like about Kirk Cousins, and at the same time, there's something there's something about him I just want to punch him in the face. Am I the only one there? Comment below. Let me know what you think. Now, my stream player, my daily fantasy gem this week is Heineke in Washington. The number 5 computer projection player for me this week at the quarterback position. He's playing the Falcons. It's a good matchup. I'm surprised at the projection. Like I said, daily fantasy, I might squeeze him into some lineups there. But remember, he throws for a lot of yards. He runs for more yards than you think. He gets touchdowns as well. Not a bad quarterback play. I don't know that I would start him over some of the other quarterbacks on my fantasy team, but daily fantasy, I think he's worth the splurge. Running back position. Coming into this week, I was shocked to see Michael Carter, my favorite pickup. Michael Carter has won that running back position. You got to remember the Jets, yes, their offense has looked bad, but they've had some tough competition to start the season. They're going to get incrementally better. Now, when they play the Buffalo Bills twice this year, am I going to really, double down on Michael Carter? Probably not, but he is going to be better than what you've seen. He's dominating the carries. He's getting more than Ty Johnson. He's already beaten out Tevin Coleman, and he's getting receptions. Michael Carter, I am shocked to see how many leagues he's still available in. If he's available in yours, snap him up. No excuses. Get him. In terms of long-term waiver wire pickups for me, Cordero Patterson in Atlanta, I think he's splitting carries with Mike Davis, but he's getting more targets in the passing game, so he's better in PPR formats. The thing with Patterson is that the Falcons project to be losing more than they're winning this season, and when they have to go to the pass-oriented, pick up points quickly, they tend to be, at least in personnel rotation, sitting Mike Davis, and they're putting Patterson in the game, so I think he's going to have longer-term value. I think he's going to be able to sustain what he's done so far, maybe not with the multiple touchdown games, but he'll be valuable. You got Ingram in Houston. Houston has had kind of a tough go, and yes, Taylor has been out at quarterback. Davis Mills, look, Ingram's not going to be valuable while Davis Mills is playing quarterback. When Taylor comes back, Houston wants to be a run-first team, and Ingram is dominating the carries. He gets you nothing in the receiving game, but he's still valuable as a running back, especially in standard leagues or touchdown-only leagues. Then I have a pair of Patriots here. You got Taylor and you got Bolden. Basically, with James White being out with that hip injury, one of these two guys is going to get the lion's share of receptions, and they will have value. Now, a lot of people I've been seeing this week say it's Brandon Bolden. My personal opinion, based on what I saw in preseason, based on the way the Patriots rotate their personnel, I think it's going to be J.J. Taylor. I think he's worth the pickup. Get at least one of them because they're going to be worthwhile, and I'm talking specifically about PPR leagues. Now, for streaming option, my daily fantasy streaming option is Chuba Hubbard. I would have liked him. Early in the week, he wasn't really available in any leagues, of course, as the week has gone on. He's been picked up. If for some reason he's available in your fantasy league, if people have been snoozing on him, pick him up. Daily fantasy, play him. I think he's going to score well. Remember, Mike Davis scored well last year in Christian McCaffrey relief. I'm sure Hubbard will as well. I liked what I saw from him last week. At the wide receiver position, Rondale Moore is my favorite wide receiver pickup. He's not going to be available in a ton of leagues, but because he kind of took a step backward, at least in terms of production in week 3, people might be hot and cold on him. Maybe people snapped him up after week 2, dropped him after week 3. My feeling is pick up Rondale Moore. In this offense, this is the same offense, and I know this is the professional environment, but Back when the coach, for some reason his name escapes my mind right now. It always happens with him. Whenever he coached in college football, Texas Tech and so on, this is the offensive system that sprang a bunch of receivers like a Wes Welker. This kind of slot roll, this hand the ball off to the wide receiver kind of thing. That's all going to be Rondale Moore. I think he's going to be fine. Now it's going to take him a while to be consistent in the NFL. Cliff Kingsbury is the name, for crying out loud. I couldn't remember it. He's going to be fine in the NFL. Like I said, maybe it's going to take another 4 games for him to regulate his touches, but I think he's going to get you a lot of receptions in PPR leagues. Maybe not a lot of touchdowns just because there's so many mouths to feed for the Arizona Cardinals, but Rondale Moore should be rostered in every single league. Some other receivers I like in the longer term. Well, Jacoby Myers, people have been asking me, hey, do you really like Myers more than you like Aguilar? Which I say, well, yes, of course. Myers has been dominating the targets in New England for years, even when they haven't been able to pass. And now that they have a quarterback that I have more faith in Mac Jones, Myers is going to continue to provide dividends for owners there. I think you should snap him up. Again, he's available in a frightening amount of leagues. Jump on him now. You might not get another chance after this week. Josh Gordon, I know that's a Cleveland picture. I don't have a Chiefs picture yet. Look, he has a ton of talent. I don't know. He's getting older, right? It's not like the Josh Brown that we've seen in years, and Josh Brown is a risk. He might be suspended again in 2 weeks. It's the sad truth to it. But the Kansas City Chiefs are desperate for another wide receiver. Hardman and Demarcus Robinson are not doing it, and Watkins, by the way, wasn't doing it much last year. Defenses are triple covering at this point Tyreek Hill, and they're letting Kelsey get his receptions and just trying to play, not let him get over the top, not let him kill people on the goal line. With Josh Gordon, it adds another dynamic into this offense, and I think it's one the Chiefs really, really need. Gordon could really work here. Am I convinced? No, I'm not, but he's worth the risk at the bottom of your roster. I think you should make that splurge. Jamison Crowder, if you've noticed in the Jets, by the way, I talked about Michael Carter below. The Jets offense has struggled, but they've had some tough competition to start the year. Crowder has been injured or inactive for most of the games. Berrios has been getting a lot of targets. I still like Corey Davis, by the way. But Crowder, when he comes back, I think he's going to have a nice role in this offense. It's time to start thinking about adding him to your roster. And then Deshaun Jackson, I don't really love him going forward, but I just had such a high projection on him for daily fantasy this week that I wanted to mention him. But my favorite projection at Daily Fantasy this week is another Cardinal, Christian Kirk, who had a nice week 2, a paltry week 3, and now I have him projected as one of the top receivers. I have him as the number 13 wide receiver this week in computer projections. I think he's going to get into the end zone. Now, I will caution you, that is either going to be Christian Kirk or Rondale Moore. It's not going to be A.J. Green, Hopkins, and those guys will be just fine. I'm saying like the big splurge wide receiver computer projection, I have it as Christian Kirk, could be Rondale Moore. And like I said, Rondale Moore is my favorite pickup, but I also wanted to acknowledge Christian Kirk here because if you're playing daily fantasy lineups, I think it's nice. Now at tight end, my favorite long-term play for the rest of this season is Jared Cook for the Chargers. He hasn't been really getting into the end zone. And in this offense, I will say there's a little bit of trepidation because Lombardi, he's had Jared Cook in New Orleans in recent seasons, and Cook hasn't really wowed you with the touchdown numbers. But I think Herbert will be able to hit Cook in the red zone. I think there's going to be more red zone targets to come. I think he'll be a valuable member in this passing game in between the 20s in the very least, so he'll get you consistency. And these short touchdowns, they've been going to Mike Williams. I think over time, the defenses will adjust. They'll start to bracket Williams and try to take away the fades and everything, and that's just going to leave Jared Cook wide open on the goal line. So I think there are more touchdowns to come. Now, these other 4 for my long season, my longer-term plays, I like these quite a bit as well. I mean, these are very, very close to me in terms of Jared Cook for where I would rank them. Conklin in Minnesota. I've been watching this Minnesota tight end position very closely ever since the Irv Smith injury. This is a system that will reward tight ends. Now, in previous seasons, you had Irv Smith and Kyle Rudolph splitting those reps. They're splitting the targets, and they hurt each other's value. Well, Rudolph went on, so I was actually on Irv Smith pretty early in the season. Then he gets injured. Then they trade for Chris Herndon. I'm thinking, okay, somebody's going to emerge here. Last week, to me, Conklin emerged. I think he's going to be able to do this moving forward. I like him in daily fantasy. I like him in fantasy football formats moving forward as well. Jared Cook just a little bit more, but come back next week, and this might be a Conklin segment. I don't know. Evan Ingram is back in New York, and the New York Giants, their offense is going to struggle. But the good news is that that they project to be behind in a lot of games. They're going to have to throw. They're going to have to keep the passes short, keep the ball moving. That's Evan Ingram. Now, he was back last week. It was a quiet return to action for him. He didn't get you a lot of stats, but I think he'll be fine moving forward. I like Ingram as kind of a sneaky play for you. Pat Freiermuth, I've been talking about him since before the preseason, before the season, right? For Dynasty Leagues, I actually liked him more than Pitts because Pitts was going crazy high to me. And Freiermuth long-term, and I'm talking multiple seasons, Freiermuth I think is going to get you every bit of the production as Pitts will moving forward. I know I'm the only person on the planet saying that, but that's how I felt from the get-go. Freiermuth has already overtaken Eric Ebron. They've been trying to hit him in the red zone. They haven't really made him hit pay dirt yet. Yes, I know he's been in the end zone and all that stuff, and I saw the preseason, but things are going to start to click for the Steelers offense when the offensive line gets things under control. That should take another couple of weeks, and Freiermuth is going to start going. What I'm going to say to everybody out there is if you're in a really tight end starved leagues, and there's a lot of those out there, you want to get in on Freiermuth before he has the 2-touchdown game, not fight for him after he does it. It's a good time to do that now because I'm telling you it is coming. Then I have Hunter Henry here as well. Jonnu Smith I like as well, but he's just unavailable in too many leagues for me to mention. Hunter Henry, the Patriots are going 2 tight end. You see a lot of Patriots in this waiver segment. It's because everybody's reacting to last season when Cam Newton couldn't hit the broadside of a barn from 2 yards away. Cam Newton was an awful quarterback. I said that last year. This year, I'm saying Mac Jones. I like him. I like what he's going to do. He's going to get better every week. So I'm bullish on the New England Patriots. That's why you see so many Patriots. I'm not a Patriots fan, by the way. I think they're going to be good. Now, my favorite stream play this week, computer projections. I'm laughing already as I say Zach Ertz, and you see a ... question mark there. Number 2 tight end. Seriously, the computer projections came back as Zach Ertz is the number 2 tight end. Yes, I know Dallas Goedert is the better tight end there. I get it. Let me say this. I'm not going to put Zach Ertz into my lineup. He's available for everybody. I'm not saying pick him up on your fantasy roster and put him in there, but if you're looking for a desperation stream play and those other 5 guys I haven't already mentioned are in there, or you're playing a lot of daily fantasy lineups, you're looking for a budget guy, Zach Ertz has a nice projection this week. I don't get it. There are sometimes I blatantly just completely disagree with my computer projections. This might be one of those, but I had to throw it out there because, I always throw out what the computer projections have for me. Now, defenses this week. Saints versus Giants to me is a lock. They've been available. I'm sure that in your leagues, they've probably already been snapped up, but if for some reason the Saints defense is still available this week and you need a team to play, they're my number 1 pick. They're my number 1 pick to play in daily fantasy as well. This is a great matchup because the Saints are going to stop the run. They stop the run against everybody. They're going to stop the run. They're going to make the Giants 2-dimensional, and that passing dimension does not scare me. Now, if the Saints stop the Buffalo Bills run and you have Josh Allen and that talented wide receiver core, or maybe the Arizona Cardinals, they stop Chase Edmonds, and then you have the Kyler Murray and the talented receiving core, I wouldn't be as high on them. But we're talking about Daniel Jones, one-dimensional versus a Saints team that will stop the run and also be able to rush the passer. That's a recipe for sacks. That's a recipe for turnovers. That's a recipe for low points. Saints, to me, are the dominant defense to be able to pick up and stream and play in daily fantasy this week. I like the Panthers versus the Cowboys. Not in daily fantasy, mind you, but I like the Panthers versus the Cowboys. Look, the Cowboys are going to put up points. They're going to put up yards. I get that. But the Panthers are also going to be able to generate sacks and turnovers, and that's what I'm looking for in a defense when I need to pick and play. Like I said, not daily fantasy, but if you're looking for a long-term defense, I believe in this Panthers defense, everybody. They're for real. I've been watching them. Look, last year I thought, they have some oomph, right? They're going to be better. I thought they were still going to be a year away. They're ahead of schedule. So I had a little bit of notice. I had them downgraded in terms of my ranking. I'm coming back and I'm saying, you know what? I was wrong on them. They're better, faster than I thought they would be. I feel comfortable starting the Panthers, honestly, weekly, outside of maybe the Tampa Bay Buccaneers game. Then lastly, I have the Chicago Bears versus the Detroit Lions. I think the Lions will play the Bears tougher. I do. But the Chicago Bears will be able to sack Goff. They'll be able to generate turnovers, and like I said, that's what I'm looking for. Additionally, I think this is going to be a lower scoring game. I actually feel like the Lions could upset the Bears here. I do. I think it's going to be like a 17-16 Lions victory. The Lions came close to upsetting the Baltimore Ravens last week. They've been almost breaking through the door a couple weeks here. But the Chicago Bears defense, regardless of what happens in the game, I think they're going to be a good scoring unit. So there you go. There are my fantasy football waiver wire pickups and waiver wire streams for this week. We'll be back next week as well. Comment below with your thoughts. Did I miss anybody? Do you have any thoughts on anybody? I'd love to hear your suggestions, your thoughts, and all that stuff, even if you think I'm a moron. I'd love to hear it. I love to see it. I love to read it. And I don't care if you think I'm a moron. So how about that? Anyway, we'll be back next week. Talk to you then.